Hello, everyone. Welcome to Info TV. Ignore that questionable intro that you just saw. I know. If you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. Come fight me. Anyway, welcome to Info TV, or welcome back to Info TV. If you're not subscribed, please do. I know everyone hates hearing that, but I want to get to 100 by the end of the year, and I will be doing something special if we can get there. So, we could do that. That would be quite nice. And let's get into it. So the Vietnam War started on November 1st, 1955, and it all started because there were, before it was just Vietnam, it was North Vietnam and South Vietnam. Now, the North was a communist state and was backed up by the USSR and China, getting aid there. And South Vietnam was a thriving democracy that was backed by the states and allies. Now, the interesting thing is that the U.S. was going up against Soviet weapons and Chinese weapons. And, well, before, everyone kind of just sucked at doing basic engineering. Everyone kind of feared those. Now, obviously, people don't fear those. But, anyway. So, the North tried to take over the South, and it was getting help from the USSR and China. Now, the US was not having that, because this was in the Cold War. The Vietnam War spiraled off because of the Cold War, and because of the Cold War, the U.S. and the USSR were at the peak of nuclear war and wanted to be the global superpower. Now, the U.S. is a global superpower for now until something happens. Then when something happens, well, then we're all just kind of screwed. The American dollar is already losing its value, but that's a topic for a different day. I'm getting off track. Anyway, because of what happened, them invading, the U.S. was coming over to help, because if they took over Vietnam and it became a communist state and a puppet for the USSR, what would happen is democracies in other countries that were in Southeast Asia would be easy to control more, because the USSR would not have to send over more troops. They could just have them all stationed there and then invade, and will take less time and less confusion when they're stocking up to invade, instead of doing extensive military training operations. Anyway, now in 1969, John F. Kennedy's predecessor sent over 500,000 U.S. troops to help. Now, don't know if you know this, but when Uncle Sam says he's gonna help, he really brings everything. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? Alright, when Uncle Sam sends over the boys to help, they really do help. Now, what happened was that we were giving them aid. We were training South Vietnam troops, and we were doing our best. We were also fighting alongside them to try and help them win. Now, the amount of battles that were in Vietnam that the U.S. was involved in and or started, there was also there were lots of wins, lots of losses, lots of dead people, lots of death and war. That's kind of a given. But anyway, in 1971, John F. Kennedy, or JFK, sent 23,000 more troops to Nam to help the South beat the North. Now, we're going to get on to the most popular weapons used on each side. Guns. And not tanks, planes, bombers, fighter jets, helicopters. No, we're sticking to guns. So, one of the most popular weapons that was used mostly by the Vietnam soldiers was the AK-47. Now, the AK-47, hopefully everyone would know what that is. If not, you're living under a rock. Go play, like, Call of Duty or watch a movie. You'll find an AK somewhere. Anyway, we're not going to go on another rant. The AK-47 was invented in 1947 by a Soviet engineer, weapons designer. I'm not going to try and pronounce their name. Their name will be above my head right there. So, what they would do... The Vietnam soldiers favored this because it was a very practical weapon at the time. Now, it's still moderately used, but it's not as commonly used anymore. But it was a powerhouse in Nam. But it was no match for Uncle Sam's M16s and M14s and M60s and tanks, and then basically too much of the U.S. Army was sent over to Nam. That's all I'm saying. We sent too much. We didn't have to help. We didn't have to, which brings me to the next topic, the protests back home. In the homeland of the U.S. of A., there was nothing but protests because of the war. Because the citizens did not want all of their boys going home to die, not going home to die, to go die in Vietnam. Because it doesn't make any sense for them to be going into Nam. It doesn't hold a purpose for us to go help. The Cold War was not eventful. We still lost the Vietnam War, therefore, we did not gain, we did not lose a thing. So I don't know why we sent troops in to help. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. Sorry for the rant. Anyway, cut that piece out, please. Anyway, sorry for the rant. But we also used the M16s. Favored by the U.S., we also sent machine guns. We had so much that we sent. And the war did not really hold a big purpose. We did not have to go fight and help. But we did. Anyway, so the war was going on for 14 years now, and there was nothing but protests and protests for these 14 years until the end. That they kept protesting because they didn't want their boys, their husbands, their brothers, their sons going to die and getting injured when it doesn't serve that big of a purpose. Anyway, we're going to set aside all of that. Now I'm going to get into everything that we lost during the Vietnam War.